They ask me who I am. For the culture. Yeah. They asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They asked me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah's, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. When I say Israelite, they say you Jewish. Look, don't be foolish. Come get a dose of this mental renewing. See how we brew it, it's just different. Like, for instance, first thing to know, brother, it's a culture, no religion. Talking the bloodline, they say we Jacob children. And yeah, that's a factor, but what really matter, how we living? Given that we gotta get Beseda, that mean in order. For that we got that Torah, some brothers we got Basora. Of course, if some don't believe, but that don't matter today. I ain't tryna throw no shade, as long as we all stay away. That 613, we coolin' like palm trees. A couple of that, yeah, you ain't a fan, know what I mean? They asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They asked me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah's, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. He said that we the light, got no choice but to shine. By the sweat of your brow, now you see why we grind. How we do and we move to keep that ruach in our midst. When we eat, I got a list. Wanna build, break out them scripts. We don't hate and we don't diss. We ain't worried about another. He called us his firstborn. You can call us big brother. Look deeper and you'll discover. In your movies and shows, truth been exposed. What you know about those captured and sold. The Igbo and the Ashanti. Check out your history, never lost. Ain't gotta find me. Right where we meant to be, rebellion led to expulsion. Repentance fix that. Y'all gotta get back. I can call them big facts. They asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite. They asked me where I'm from, I told them you can pick a side. We worldwide, I'm an Israelite. Whether through scripts or history, no, I can show you. In the army of Yahuwah's, oh boy, I'm a soldier. Yeah, they asked me who I am, I told them I'm an Israelite. That's right, I'm an Israelite.
Hey, we ain't saying this our salvation or nothing, but the Most High just put his name on it, so we represent. All praise. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, lechochem to all of you. Welcome back to another segment of Yah Conscious Radio, where if it's not Yah Conscious, it is not what? It's not acceptable. Welcome back, everybody. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Let me start off by saying, Reshit, Naknu Rotem Latet Kabod Shabbat, Le Yahweh El Elyon. Elohe Abraham, where Yitzchak, where Yaakov. First, we want to give honor and praise to He who the causes to be, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Salachli. All right. So, how y'all doing this week, this evening?
Most High is magnificent.
Always. And we
greater to be praised, greater to be served.
That's right. That's right. Hallelujah. How about you, Gebet?
It was a rough week, but all praises to the Most High.
Man.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Achot Sharon, what's going on? This your week. You came up with some good topics. As always. How you doing?
All is well. Cannot complain. I can't complain.
All praises to the Most High. I'm loving it because it seems like every week we're coming up with some some amazing topics. Things that people probably are thinking of and maybe not saying, or things that people are saying and they're trying to figure it out, and maybe the answers are not being brought to them, or maybe it is, and we have a different perspective. But it's our job to bring forth, what we our perspective, along with some context, some history, things of that nature, and that's what we want to do. So, before I get started, anybody have anything to add? Anything at all?
Nah,
All
let's
right,
get it.
let's get it. So, first topic, first topic of the day. Well, this is actually a title. So, all the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. When I saw the topics that she brought forth, which I think is, whew, y'all better be ready for it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely it's going to be something that goes in that Shofet team, the judges range area. You know what I'm saying? Because what she brought forth is some things. Let's go. First chapter. First subject. Why do the people still murmur when no body of law has been transgressed? Let me repeat that again. Why do the people still murmur when no body of law has been transgressed? Example: raising up seed for a dead brother with the widow, marrying into nations whom the Most High didn't forbid to marry. So I'm gonna read it one more time. Why do the people still murmur when no body of law has been transgressed? So in other words, when no law has been, broken at all, it's not in our Torah, And like she said, for example, the seed, raising up the seed for a dead brother with the widow, and marrying into nations who the Most High didn't forbid to marry. Go ahead and toss that over to Chief Prince Abullah. What you got? Let's kick it off for us.
Well, it's interesting because the way that you have the question laid out, I actually don't have it in that version. That
you got.
I think there was an earlier version.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, okay, yeah, it's no problem though. And this is a touchy subject because, well, I'll say it this way, just to start it off. That I think that a lot of the contentions that we have when it comes to the law, as far as what we are to do, what we're not supposed to do, whatever, a lot of it, as much as we say that we should not follow the ways of man or the traditions of man, let's be very clear. Most of what we do is the tradition of a man and or woman. I'll just, for PC purposes. Like for instance, and I'll give a quick example. And I think Guerrero Sharon can appreciate this. When I was coming into the walk, early on in the early 90s, there was an understanding that on the Shabbat, you do not watch television. Okay. Period. You don't watch television. You don't listen to music. You don't concern yourself with things that are not for the worship of the Most High. Period. There was times when I used to be, it'd be on the Shabbat break and we all just sitting around outside, and I might just start humming, I don't know, a beat from Black Moon. This is like 93, 94, and brothers would check me immediately like, whoa, what you doing? Nah, no humming secular songs on the Shabbat. If you're gonna hum something, hum a psalm or something. And I was like, oh, okay. And this is how I learned. Now there's individuals who look at that and say, well, wait a minute. That's not in the Torah. There's nothing in the Torah that says that you should not watch television on the Shabbat, that you should not listen to secular music or do any of the, none of that's in in the Torah. But my response to that would be, does it have to be? And I'm saying this, and I'm saying that to lead up to the point that one of the portions of the Torah that gets overlooked, I mean, it's almost a crime how much it's overlooked, is Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy 16.
I'm gonna pull it out for you. Want me? Go ahead, go to it.
Oh yeah. Deuteronomy 16, verse 18.
KJV.
For the sake of the listeners, yeah.
Okay. You said Deuteronomy 16 and what verse, Chief?
18.
18. All right, KJV. Let's go. And it says, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment.
Now we spoke about this on previous platforms about the importance of judges, and my question is, if a judge, now why is the Most High saying that you shall set up judges amongst your people, amongst all the tribes? Why must judges be set up in the gates of the people? I mean, why would there be a need for judges? I mean, the Torah is all we need, correct? And if that's the case, why would I need a judge to tell me if this law or that law is being put into operation correctly? Why would I need that? And the answer to that is obvious. Because the people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They need direction. I thought I knew what I was talking about years ago, and I realized I didn't know enough. I didn't know anything. And so the Most High understands that no, the people cannot do as they please, whatever, and I think Sharon, she was going in that direction of the book of Judges and that concept of people doing as they will. No, the law says no, you have to set up judges. There have to be intelligent men, and as we've seen in the book of Judges, intelligent women who are rooted in the Torah that will give direction to the people. That'll take a law, take another law, take a circumstance and another circumstance, and make a judgment and say, okay, based on A, B, C, D, or Aleph, Bet, Gamel, Daled, based on that, this is the judgment on this particular matter. And what has he just established? A tradition of what? A man. So I think this is where the confusion starts to come in, where people start, kind of getting at, like this is like, getting at certain concepts and saying, oh, you're transgressing against this. Well, where's the judgment on this? Where are the elders who have made a ruling on this situation? And if a ruling has been made, then according to the authority of the Torah says that those judges have the power to implement that understanding. So I say that if when we say if there is no transgression, then why judge as I have sinned? And I'm just reading off of the one that I got from the version that I got from the earlier discussion. I think that's the introduction of the problem. I think people are making judgment calls that are not actually based on Torah judgment. They're making judgments based on the whims of themselves, on just willy-nilly. If they don't like a particular situation, they'll say, well, this is how I feel about this, or the Torah doesn't say that. It's like a back and forth between whether the Torah stands alone or whether interpretation of the Torah will stand. That's kind of what I'm getting from this subject. I mean, I'm sure everybody's going to bring in their angle as well, but I think this is kind of the root of a lot of these problems of passing judgment on situations in Scripture, saying, well, if this is a sin or this is not a sin. And my thing is, well, who is determining what is a sin and what is not a sin? And does that individuals have they been given the authority to make that decision?
Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at with that subject. So, but I'm ready to hear everybody else's take on it.
Okay, good points. Good points. I coach Sharon. What you got?
Kane, Chief, that is actually the direction that the topic is supposed to go into. That is actually the points that I wanted to bring out. Um, I was inspired by this topic because I see that a lot of time in Israel in our communities is that we put transgressions on situations where no transgressions has been transgressed, when no law has been transgressed, and for an example, like polygyny. A lot of people don't agree with polygyny. They put their personal feelings into it, and they tell you that it's against the law. So my thing is that, okay, if it is against the law, what is the transgression? That is what I always say when our people murmur against each other when we decide to do something that is not to our liking, or that is not of the norm. So I say, hey, okay, if you feel like that is against the law, name and state their transgressions. If you cannot do that, then it's no body of law has been transgressed. You know.
Can you do me a favor and just say that example that you just said? Chief just came back here. He got knocked off. If you don't mind. So
Okay.
The one about the polygyny, I think.
No, I was saying for an example, a lot of our people, we like to murmur against each other when it hasn't been no laws transgressed. So for an example, polygyny. A lot of people feel like polygyny is against the law. Then you have the other half of people who feel like polygyny is nasty. We're not supposed to be doing that. Our forefathers only had one wife and things like that. So my thing to them, when I see people murmur against the culture or against what someone choose to implement in their personal life hold based on the culture, this is what I say. I say, okay, what is their transgression? State their transgressions to me, and then we can discuss what law or what how they have sinned. But if you cannot state their transgression, then you cannot say that person particularly have sinned. For an example, why do we feel like we have to murmur against the people, preferably men, if a man wants to wait and court a virgin? Why do we feel like, okay, that man must be rooted in pedophilia because he want a virgin for a wife? Oh, that's against the law. Okay, once again, what is that man's transgression? What is the transgression between a man wanting to wait or marry a virgin? Why do we have to murmur and say, oh, he in some, he in some pedophilia things going on and stuff like that? For another example, I mean, I can go on, but I just wanted, like, Chief really, this is why I said Chief got to start going last. Because Chief, he really brings everything so full circle. And he makes so many good points that's already been something that, Sleeker, I'm gonna have to get me a new phone soon. But Kane, that's pretty much my feedback on that. Like we really have to stop and really reflect and really evaluate and pay attention to what we murmur about if that person has not transgressed no body of law.
I'm coming in to say this. This is exactly why when I read the topics that you came up with, I was like, everyone is right. I thought of judges, Chief. I literally thought of judges because the things that you brought out, I thought, Sharon, and then the things that Chief brought out, in my opinion, both right. Because what Chief brought out is wonderful. What was that? Devarim 16, 18, you said?
Okay, 16, 18.
18. Okay. I gotta remember the scripture. I knew the verse. I just didn't know the scripture by heart. So Devarim 16, 18. It's amazing because what that points out and what that says is that can stop the middleman madness that we have. We have a lack of middleman And the reason I said middleman madness is because we don't want that in 2022, to where once you have someone like Akho Sharon that knows the law, but then you have others that might know it but don't agree with it. I've actually heard a lot of Israel that know the law and say, well, no, that's not what it meant. Well, it wasn't supposed to originally be there. He only did that because of this. Like, so I'm like, okay, so do we believe or do we not believe? And I'm not even talking about like polygyny. I'm talking about it's a few different subjects. And I'm like, this is the Torah. Yes, we need that. What do you be posting, Chief? What is that? Not gatekeepers. Is it gatekeepers that you speak on?
That's one of the terms I use a lot.
No, something about the breach.
Repairers of the breach.
Repairers of the breach. We need those Ezras right now. I put a post up the other day about I said it in Hebrew though, but we have many teachers, not enough students. We have a lot of teachers, not enough students. And the reason I'm saying that is because if we had more students that were under righteous teachers, I can't say that because we see that example in our history. The murmuring has always been there.
Right. Now,
go ahead.
And just let me just say this too with the murmuring. That, this is where I think a lot of times we get lost. And I'm saying this generally, just with all of us, with no one excluded. We kind of get lost in the murmurings. And the thing is with people who do the murmuring, historically, what has happened to murmurers? On one way or the other, they were excommunicated from the community. Whether by death or whether like how Nehemiah did, smack them up, yank their beards off and get them up out of there and say, you know what? You're free to murmur all you want, but you'll murmur out there amongst the nations. Do your murmuring there. When you're among, but you will not be here murmuring. And we get so caught up in it because, see, this is the problem is again, with social media, there's no way for a Nehemiah or an Ezra to flourish.
Come on now.
In a cyber world, because there's no way. Because how do you roll up on somebody and say, oh, the Torah is not real? You can't snatch nobody up out of their chair and say, and and get them out of the community.
Call the police on you quick.
Right. They're gonna call the Persians.
Mm-hmm.
Like how when you read Ezra and Nehemiah, and they're like, you're not gonna let us come, whatever. They went right to the Persian authorities. And this is what's going, and so this is why the difficulty with the murmurers is that when you're on social media, there's no way to exile them.
Okay.
You can block them, but you block them. They're blocked from interacting with you. They can still interact with everybody else.
Okay.
And so the murmuring continues. I mean, Moray, you said it best, and so I'm not even going to try to I'm not going to try to outdo what you just said earlier. There is in fact a need for an Ezra, or not even Ezra, but Ezra's in this time, because the format that Ezra and Nehemiah used in that time has to be revised now.
Okay.
Because they dealt with situations, face to face. Like you have an issue. I told you not to come here on the Shabbat again. If you come back, I'm laying hands on you.
Yeah. So
there was a face-to-face interaction that you could not avoid. Here, I can say whatever I want to say over the computer screen to you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Unless you come to my doorstep, there's nothing you can do. So there has to be a revising of how we would actually go about instituting that order. And this goes right back to what Guerrero Sharon was hammering away at, and that is, having people take that accountability, that if you're saying that this is a transgression, well, prove it. Come before the judges and bring your testimony.
That's right.
But Beit Din, but that's another story.
Hey, wait! You just did what I was about to say, Chief. I was like, I promise, I've been waiting on you to stop because I was about to say, hey, well, you actually implemented that in the Beit Din, right? But you just threw it out there, shameless plug. All right.
Okay.
Those who don't know what we're talking about, maybe one day, hopefully, most I will, we will, or you will. It's amazing. Go ahead, Sharon, you was about to say something?
I had wanted to interject really quick and say, also, these topics is also a self-reflection of how grounded we are in Torah as well. Because say if you have a brother and you have a sister-in-law, and your brother died, right? Mm-hmm. And he have no male seed. What you going to do? Can you really admit to yourself that, okay, yeah, I'm gonna raise up a male seed for my brother? Now you got to consider certain circumstances and certain perspective. His wife can be the most meanest, bitch, most contentious woman in the world. What you going to do? Yeah. Another thing, and this happened in real life. Me and my siblings, we was talking, and I told them, I said, hey, would y'all murmur against me if I bring home a white man? And they was honest. They said, yeah, they would. But I was like, even though that's not really a part of the nations that the Almighty forbid us from marrying, y'all still will murmur against me? King, the answer remained the same. So I kind of just find it interesting that, this is also a learning lesson for us to detect how grounded and how trustworthy that we are in this Torah and how much we trust the Most High in His words, statute, and commandments. And I'm going to buy it out.
It also is a testimony. I'm going to pass the mic to you, Kathy. It also is a testimony of the lack of knowledge and understanding we have as well. And it goes back to not having judges, righteous judges. It goes back to not having a Beit Din, which you all don't know about, that hopefully you all will, because it's going to be crazy if it does happen. I pray the Most High does. It also goes to that because people are going to Deuteronomy or Devarim chapter 7, verse 3 through 7, I think it is 3 through 7, but they're missing verses 1 through 2 when it actually lets you know what nations it's talking about. Now, this is not for me to say that you should go ahead and go with any other nation. I'm not saying that, nor am I saying I'm against it, because I'm following what the Torah says in the 7 specific nations. But what I will say, I just won't ever again. I just, I'm just not. That's why I've been single for like 5 years. But that's another topic. Anyway, I'm passing the mic over to Gebeda. Shalom. What you got? I'm gonna bring it back up.
Shalom. I mean, everyone said everything. I was sitting back listening to you guys. These were some very, very interesting points. I just wanted to point out that it's our current living conditions. Of course, it presents us, or places us in a situation to try to form, or we find ourselves forming to this way of life and we don't even realize it. I think a lot of the things that we're talking about and the examples that we're putting on the table, it definitely would be a lot easier if we were back in our land. But regardless, as everyone's pointing out, we're here. So that refers back to, your faith. And even if you don't have the clear understanding, having a panel, a community, judges to go to help you with this. And I think that's the biggest problem here is, again, we congregate a lot. Where is the community?
Goshen, Sparta.
Like people once we leave that congregation.
Please repeat that again.
Well, say that again.
I mean, we congregate a lot. Where is our community?
Hold on. Don't say. Give me about 10 seconds. I gotta post that on Facebook. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I want to quote
that right there.
Quotations right now. I'll put in quotations. You say what? We congregate, but where's the community?
But where are we as a community? Because I think if we had that community, then we would be able to, stop these murmurers. We would be able to hold them, accountable. We would be able to say, you're not allowed here. I mean, granted, you're going to have your platform, but we have to think about it from this aspect. Look at the type of people that's going to be drawn to that aspect and still pay attention to that. Are you going to really be able to reach them? So, I mean, let them have their platform, but at least give us our community of people, our judges, our elders that would be able to help our community stay in line and do what we're supposed to do.
That was powerful. I just want you to know that. Hallelujah. And I quoted you and put Y'all Conscious Radio and hashtag. Just want you to know.
That deserves ISUPK. That's right.
All right. So do we have anybody else have anything else to add to this? It's starting out very well, powerful, good points, great points already. Anybody got anything else to add? All right. No pressure, no pressure. It's a song called No Pressure. I might play it. But for those that's tuning in right now or back and replay, this is Y'all Conscious Radio. Well, if it's not Y'all Conscious, it is not what? Acceptable. We're going to go into the first song of this evening. And that is, let's play it. That is From the Soil. By none other than You the Gang.
La 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 la.
You heard the gang. Wild side. You bring out of my games, I break out of my chains. You come with the rat race, I move at a fast pace. Blink, that was your mistake. All of my people crying, looking for answers, trying, holding out for the love of the ones who keep lying.
I done been through so much drama, man, you wouldn't believe. They be clawing at your honor just like Wolverine. I say prayer to Most High, know he gon' come for me. Is it my pride, is it my spirit, what they want from me? Yeah, cause I got it from the soil. But she first about the struggle, now she spoiled. Yeah. And we ain't giving up at all, we standing tall until we fall. Manifest our dreams and then they can't ignore it.
Bad thoughts you can't erase, false gospel in your face. We the type to keep it holy, you the type to keep it worldly. We the ones who stay on our grind and we like a light bright and early. Hearing lies, sick of time, sit your past ass down cause he ain't heard me. Yeah, we on that level, sit back, just look and revel. As a man with a master plan, evoke thoughts on the level you was lost and trance away words, we flow my mind's eye advance. You just stick to the script, you're gonna lose your chance. I'm just saying. Feeling distress, feeling the rope on your neck, holding for hoping them checks. We gon' collect, working and striving no rest, hoping to be the elect. I'm not impressed here, cause you're for no respect. My spirit is passing our test. Hey, let's go.
Passing our test.
You mad when I won't move. I do what you won't do. Call cops so you won't lose. Got step while I make moves. Eat lies but I spit truth. Torah is the good news. Covered with light like a full moon. Taking them notes like you in school. Thank the Most High for the
I done been through so much drama, man, you wouldn't believe. They be clawing at your honor just like Wolverine. I say prayer to Most High, know he gon' come for me. Is it my pride, is it my spirit, what they want from me? Yeah, cause I got it from the soil. But she first about the struggle, now she spoiled. And we ain't giving up at all, we standing tall until we fall. Manifest our dreams and then they can't ignore you. Part of my timing, just part of my grinding, The closer they blacker than me, it seems like the farther I'm shining, Haters brushing up the Wi-Fi, trying to goggle a comment, You ain't about getting some money, then we ain't got nothing in common, You ain't about feeding your family, we ain't got nothing in common, Came a long way from the rhyming, Them bitches be trying to conversate. Before they knock me out my hustle, I'm pulling some muscle, don't get it, then contemplate. I'm delayed, blowing my line up when I'm away. It be hurt when they try to take from you. Your mind, your body, all the way down to your shoe. Don't give no time to think, they just want you to do. It's a battle every day, and no, I cannot lose.
You there when I broke down. Loved ones say we stay bound. Real king when there's no crown. Time stop when there's no sound. Squad D better run now. Running out of time, keeping ya on my mind, facing all them battles shine, chuck the deuces, then rewind.
I done been through so much drama, man, you wouldn't believe. They be clawing at your honor just like Wolverine. I say prayer to Most High, know he gon' come for me. Is it my pride, is it my spirit, what they want from me? Yeah, cause I got it from the soil. But she first about the struggle, now she spoiled. And we ain't giving up at all, we standing tall until we fall. Manifest our dreams and then they can't ignore you.
Yeah. None other. Yehudi Gang. I'm going to go ahead and towards the end of today, I'm going to post a flyer I could find it for you all. Yehuda Gang is presenting or hosting / presenting the Brew Year Bash. If y'all not aware of that, the Brew Year Bash, first annual Brew Year Bash, April 2nd this year. It will be in Fort Worth, Texas. So if I could find that flyer, which I should have, I will get it. I will post it so you all can see the address. It's going down. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. We're going to have some performances with some special guests. And then it's going to be an after party with an album release and just other stuff. If people want to do poetry, open mic, if anybody else want to perform, whatever, it's going to be amazing. So enough with the shameless plug. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. Next topic of discussion. If you have missed the first one, please, because I see we got somebody that tuned in. I don't know who you are, but make sure you come back, start over, and listen to the first 40 minutes so you can see that first topic and what was said. For those that's tuning in now or looking back, this is Y'all Conscious Radio, where if it's not Y'all Conscious, it's not what? Acceptable. Next topic. The misconception of the word. Oh, this is one of my favorite. The word, the term, the name, Jezebel. Me and Chief had this discussion a little while ago. And the history behind this term or the term. Why is it often misplaced in context? This is going to be a simple answer for me, I hope, Sharon. But beautiful.
Okay, same here.
And I'm going to read it again for those that might be wondering, what the heck? The misconception of the word, term, or name, Jezebel, and the history behind the term. Why is it often misplaced in context? Let's start off with none other than our coach Sharon. I'm gonna pass the mic after that to get Barrett, Kathy, and Chief. I'm gonna let you go after that. What you got, Sharon? You ready, or you want somebody else to
go? Well, my answer is going to be short because this is also a learning lesson for me. So, most likely I'll be sitting, in the background, hearing out different perspectives and listening to what, you all have to say about the topic. However, it was only about 2 years ago when I really started to dive into the story of Jezebel and her husband. Because whenever I heard the term Jezebel, a lot of people were kind of correlated to Lord, what is that?
Promiscuous. I already know.
Promiscuous woman.
I did that. I did
like
that
a
2
woman
shows
who's out there
ago.
just, harditizing herself. Basically, in today's terms, a hoe, right? A whore. Okay. And I'm like, okay, let me go and do some studying. And I'm like, whoa, it's nowhere near.
Come on
the
now.
Misconception. Basically, she was just, she was very strong-willed. Yeah, she didn't follow, she didn't follow the Most High, or she had, she had a lot of pagan dealings. However, I'm like, why do these people using this term Jezebel as if a woman is a whore, or as if she's out harlotizing herself? Mm-hmm. So that was really like the the misplaced in context that I always didn't understand with that term. Because Jezebel, she got things done. If I'm not mistaken, she got things done. However, she was very bullheaded. Very bullheaded. She took charge. You could say she took charge to control her husband. It's different perspectives on that. But however, I would like to hear you all feedback on that.
Aliyah. All right. You better, Kathy. What do you have?
Kane. I'm very interested as well to hear other people's opinion. I can, of course, just speak on what I know and learn and currently learning. Growing up, Jezebel for the men meant, or at least I was taught, that it was a hard-headed woman, wouldn't listen to her man. From a perspective, as my sister Sharon said, it was either she was promiscuous, as well as she did not follow the Most High. So I grew up with 2 different understandings for that. Still very interested to find out how those labels became attached to this name. That's what I have to say.
All right. Okay. Let's go ahead, Chief. What you got? Should I go first? I know you gonna hit us with that.
Not good.
Sammy Sosa, King Griffey. You know what I'm saying?
Barry Bonds, brother. Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds. Hey, Barry Bonds. Wait.
Put some respect. Put some respect on that name.
Right. She said,
What was Barry Bonds at? Was it? I might be. I ain't
like Ken Griffey. I like Ken Griffey. I'm just saying though.
Hey man, look.
Just saying.
All right, let's do something real quick. I'm trying to go to not Safari. I want to bring something out. I'm gonna go to the Blue Letter Bible real quick. And I brought this out. Was it like First Kings or something? First Kings. Okay, cool. Let's go to the name itself. How many people went to the name Jezebel? Anybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. Let's do that. Let's go to the name Jezebel. All right. It's linear. Give me a second, you all. Bear with me. I gotta put some so what's the names in my eyes? All right. For some reason, I'm not finding what I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna go off memory because I can't find what I'm looking for. So when I looked up the word Jezebel, which interestingly enough, I didn't know that was an actual in English, or English is actually close to how you actually should say the name. So the name in Hebrew is Isabel. So Isabel is more closer to the actual Hebrew name versus Jezebel. I just want to put that out. Just putting some facts out there for you. From the last time I looked it up, and of course, Chief coming behind me, Paul, so he's going to bring it out, double pause. It was chastity. The meaning had to do with chastity. It had nothing, like when you think of Jezebel in Christianity, even within our culture, sometimes, a lot of times, they're using it in a way to where this person, like you had said, was committing like whoredom, was a whore, was whatever you want to call it. But then I looked at the name and it had nothing to do with that. It had something to do actually chastity, and it was something else. That's what I'm trying to find it. Cause can anybody let me see. I gotta speak on this. I gotta find it. I had it, but had to do with chastity, and it was something else about her. It was basically opposite of what is being taught today. So when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, cool, and I thought Sharon just brought out her perspective of what she actually was. But what I wanted to bring out, because the big thing when I saw that term, I'm like, okay, if we're going to call these women the Jezebel spirit, you can't do that, because basing it off of the name will go totally against what you're saying these women are. You will have to pinpoint and say this is this particular person, like the Jezebel of this husband or X, Y, and Z, because there's many people with the name Isabel. And maybe I'm being too particular when I bring that out, but that name in particular is dealing with chastity, is dealing with it's just totally opposite of what's being taught. I'm trying to find it, man. Go ahead, Chief. I'm gonna try to find a definition of it, because the definitions that I'm looking for is not popping up. And I remember when I had this conversation with you, it was a lot that was brought out. I can't find it right now. Go ahead, Chief. Whenever you're available.
Okay, I mean,
I don't know why I can't find it.
I mean, the name is, and actually, this conversation that we had, it derived from another platform in which we were talking about the power of perception, and I was like, if we're all about keeping to the Hebrew, and the Hebrew is what drives us and what gives us direction and what we are to do and say whatever. I said, would you name your daughter Jezebel?
Mm.
And And remember, I was telling you, I was like, because I had a conversation with other people about this, and they're like, nah, I would never name my daughter. I said, but why? Why not? The name itself means a chaste or untouched woman.
Right, modest. That's what I just found. Modest.
Right.
Same.
Yep.
modesty from Yezebel. Zabal, of course, is the root of my own name, meaning to dwell or a habitation. By implication, a woman who dwells in the house. She's not out and about, in the street, up in them streets doing whatever she's doing. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, was that Proverbs? I forget what Proverbs where it says, the ways of the adulterous woman. She wipes her mouth and says, "I have done nothing." So Jezebel, by the name itself, when she received that name as a baby, her parents had a completely different view of what she would be doing later in life. Because again, the name means to be chaste, to be modest, one who dwells basically in the house. That she's not a streetwalker; she is a woman of her domain. So if the name itself implies it, not just applies it, but it actually means that, why would we not name our daughters Jezebel? And I said the reason why is because we've allowed the mistakes and the wickedness of one woman,
right? Thank you.
To cancel an entire name. So now you can't even use that name without incurring some type of side eyes and, oh my God, oh, she's a Jezebel, whatever. Because we could use the same example with the term Judah.
Come on now.
Like we'll say Judah, but we won't say Judas. Why not? It's the same name.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, he's a Judas. Well, would I be correct if I said a traitor is, oh, he's a Judah?
Same name.
It's like, well, no, and that's my point as far as the clarity. Like we're missing the clarity in the origin of these terms, and I'm glad that Guevara Sharon brought this out, because now when we talk about the influence, like where we're getting these concepts of Jezebel, because when we go into the testimony of First Kings, where we read about Jezebel and all her dealings, what is it that we find about her? We find a couple of things. You know what I'm saying? That she would be equivalent to the modern woman of today, the modern Western woman of today. She does what she wants to do, how she wants to do it. Can't tell her, whatever like that. And she basically married a man who allowed her to run all over him.
Okay.
This is a fact.
Pretty much.
But now, when we read these things and we're like, okay, she had her own way of worship, like this is where we start noticing the introduction of, like I think it was in chapter 18, we start seeing the introduction of her bringing forth, obviously through her husband also, but bringing forth the worship of Baal and Asherah and all of these things. Same thing that happened to Solomon when Solomon went bonkers. The same exact thing. So when we talk about, if we're going to use the term Jezebel in the context of the text, and just strictly using the text, then the term Jezebel should only be used for the purpose of what? A hard-headed, stiff-necked woman who does not believe in Yah, but wants her husband to worship that which is not Yah.
Boom. That's going to remove a lot of people out that equation.
Anything outside of that,
yes,
is either at best a conjecture or at worst a damn lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lie. So where did all this come from? Because let's keep it real. We grew up, and I know I did, before I came into the walk. When you hear Jezebel, you're like, oh, that's talking about this flipping whore over here. Mm-hmm. Where do we get this from? We get it from the place that we got a lot of our understanding of the scriptures from, the church.
Yes. Facts.
This is where we get it from. If you're using the KJV, let's keep it real. If you're using the KJV, you're influenced by the church, because that is a church. That's the church's translation. Mm-hmm. It's not an Israelite translation. You know what I'm saying? It is the church's translation. And I'm not saying it's a bad translation. I'm just saying that the influence of Christianity is derived from how they've dissected the KJV and how they've pushed it to the people. So they'll say things that you're like, yeah, it sounds good, and then you realize, well, wait a minute, that's not even in the book. It's not there.
No. Yep.
And so we can't use Jezebel. We can now, mind you, the term Jezebel can still be used in reference to modern day women because, yes, stiff neck, don't want to, whatever, don't want to, follow, what I'm saying, the instructions of her husband, and will even deal with a man who she knows that she can run over. So she's not even dealing with a respectable man. She's dealing with, right. I mean, so we can use it in that sense, but to say, but just to call any woman who, and now mind you, that also doesn't mean that if a woman has an opinion about something, that might not necessarily completely gel with what the man says. That doesn't mean she's a Jezebel. It only means that right now she has a differing opinion.
Okay.
Now, once we get into where that opinion is derived from and all of the working parts of that opinion and how she, whatever, and what is the intent of it, then we can determine, either she's a damn Jezebel and get thee out of my house, woman, or she's a daughter of Deborah. Let me incline my ear to her.
Okay.
So, but all of that, of course,
those that's listening, when he said daughter of Deborah, she was one of the judges, or she was the female judge in the Tanakh. So that's a good thing for those that's listening that might not know.
Yeah, sitting under her tree, and the children of Israel came to her for judgment. The traditions of woman.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. What y'all got? You're muted if you're speaking right now. Get better, Kathy. You're muted. All right, let's see. I see a comment. Hopefully, there's not no bot. There we go. It's not a bot. Here we go. Shalom, family. So would Eve call into this category? Bring it out. We got some questions. It's more to the question, but I just thought it was interesting because it's funny. I was watching a debate earlier, and they was bringing up the whole Eve thing, so I thought it was interesting. She said, "Shalom, family. So would Eve call into this category since she bypassed Adam, even though he was right there when she ate fruit, and he said nothing?" Well, she said, my apologies, fall into. So she said, "Shalom, family. So would Eve fall into this category since she bypassed Adam, even though he was right there when she ate fruit and he said nothing?" Now, I will challenge the fact if he was right there or not. I will challenge that.
Agreed.
I will challenge that. But nonetheless, good question. I want to pass it to everyone else, and I'll come back and I'll respond to it. But keep in mind that challenge, and I will let Chief and anybody else, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't present right there. Just want to bring it up. Go ahead. What you got, y'all? What you got? Chief, better Sharon, anybody that want to jump in? Good question. Good question.
I'll let the ladies come through.
Hallelujah. Do y'all see the question as well, or do you need me to read it again? Let me know. So the question was, Shalom, family. So would Eve fall into this category?
So based off of how it was just broken down, in regards to, like you said, stiff neck and not listening to your husband, and again look at the consequences and repercussions that played out, and doing so. So I would say yes.
Hallelujah. Okay. I do want to point out too that the comment that we have from this young woman, she said fruit instead of apple. Do I got some hand claps? Hold on. Oh, I got right. You know what I'm saying? Some people say apple, but like she said fruit. It's layers to the fruit, but she said fruit. Love it. Go ahead.
That's always a blessing when it's those little things that you be like, that you catch and be like,
yeah,
okay, like okay, and you salute that, because again, We were just talking about the influence of Christianity. So most people should be saying apple, although it's not in the text. Well, what that fruit was is another story. But nonetheless,
I said what I said because it could go that around.
Right. It's a but in any event, no, and that's a very good question. And I think on the surface, I would agree. Yes, we could put Eve or Hawa in. We could put her in that, generally speaking. But I think it's an onion, and if we began to peel back some of those layers, I would have to say I would say generally yes, but textually no. And this is the reason why I say that. The difference with Eve or Hawa, and again I'm saying Eve obviously for those who might not be familiar with Hawa, but the reason, or should I say the difference with Eve is that unlike a so-called Jezebel and those type of women, Eve was instructed. Hold on one second.
I was going to hit that point. Go ahead, hit it out.
Is that unlike these other women, if you recall, Eve received instruction from her Lord, received instruction from Adam, whatever. Now this is where it also gets a little murky but I'm not going to get too far into that rabbit hole. But she received an instruction that Adam received, that hey, eat of any tree, any fruit of the trees of anywhere in the garden, except what? Tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? Mm-hmm. That was the only tree that she was told, whatever, or that he was told, and so the story would imply that he received that and he gave it to his wife, to Eve. If you look at the dialogue between her and the the Nakash, or as the KJV says, the serpent. If you look at the dialogue between the two, something sticks out from Eve that a lot of us overlook, and which would actually remove her from a comparison with a Jezebel, is what? The so-called serpent came and said, listen, have you, have the Lord, as God said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And what did she do? She tried to defend the commandment that she received from her husband. She tried to explain. She said, well, we can eat of all the trees of the garden, but of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, you should not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. Mm-hmm. She tried to explain. She tried to stand on her square there. The problem was that it doesn't seem like she understood the commandment, because there's two parts in that answer that are incorrect. The first one is that she was never told, or man was never told, not to touch it. It was only told you should not eat it. Now that's that might be a little petty little point, but if you don't touch it, you don't have to worry about eating it. That's correct. The other part is she's confusing the tree. If you look in the text, she says that you cannot eat of the tree that's in the midst of the garden. The tree of knowledge was not the tree that was in the midst of the garden. If you look at the verse, the chapter prior, it says that the tree of life was the tree that was in the midst of the garden. Okay. She confused the commandment, but she gave it in a genuine way. She genuinely tried to well, no, we were told this, and that, and we're not supposed to do this or we'll die. Now, of course, she got hoodwinked.
He capitalized on her with that one.
Right.
Dang.
She had the right spirit. Mm-hmm. Just some of the details of so it was off, and and then Akash, as the name of course suggests, the servant, he caught it. It was like, oh, okay.
I'm gonna get it.
And then he got it. He came in there, gave her a quick doctrine. You know what I'm saying? Whispered in her ear. whatever the case, and then jacked her up. Now, but again, when you look at the story, you don't see Eve as being belligerent.
No.
She's never belligerent. She didn't come to her man and say, listen, serpent told me, anytime I think about Eve, I automatically think of black women because Adam, you think about black men. So I could just see her, she didn't go to her man and say, listen, he said that I can do whatever and I can eat whatever I want to eat, blah, blah. You don't see that. She simply looked at the fruit and said, it does look appealing to me. And maybe it is a fruit that can give me wisdom. Wisdom is not a bad thing. So let me eat of it. And then, of course, it says, and then she gave some to her husband and he ate it. Whether he was there or not, it doesn't say.
I got a thought to go with that after you're done, or I could go down one or the other. My thoughts on that last part that you said is, first of all, I want to say this. Hallelujah, man. For a teacher, for my teacher, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't never heard, and I know I ain't been around the block a lot. Only been here for 10 years, I haven't heard anyone bring it out in that manner. I just haven't. When dealing with, having that compassion with Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? That was, in my opinion, maybe the ladies have heard it that's listening right now, or maybe Achot Sharon, she's been in it longer than me, been in this path longer than me, but I haven't heard that type of compassion when it comes to the woman, comes to Hawaii or Eve, as far as she was sincere, because when you think about how you brought it out, she did quote what she believed what the commandment was. What that points out to me is this. It's a couple things, and maybe I'm just going on a whim because the scriptures don't say this. I just want you all to know that I might be going on a limb. Scriptures don't say this. First of all, I don't think he was there. But what I do look at is, it shows me that, in my opinion, that the husband, it should be a close knit. You all should be around each other, in my opinion. Look out for each other. Not saying he didn't or he didn't or he did, but what I'm looking at is like, okay, why is she alone in that situation, that scenario? We look at today's day, husbands go their way, wives go their way when they're working and things like that. So I understand that. So if that's the case, then she needs to be more equipped with the understanding of the commandment, of the instructions, understanding of the protection that needs to be put in place for the family, the things that he might need to put in place to make sure that the family or him and her is operating in such a way to where she won't be manipulated, and not vice versa, but so she won't be manipulated. I don't know. Now that you brought it out like that, I'm looking at that story because, like I said, I never heard it in that way, the way you brought it out. So if that's the case, if she was sincere, which looking at the text, I do kind of see that. She did quote it. She quote what she thought was said to her.
Because think about it. Anybody who moves the way they want to move is not going to care what someone told them prior. If she wanted to move on a situation, she would not have tried to argue or try to give an argument to the serpent to say, well, we were told that we can eat this, or we can't eat this, whatever. She tried to explain herself, meaning that what she was told, she believed it. What Adam, the commandment that Adam received, she believed it. Because when you believe something and someone comes at you, what's the first thing you do? You challenge it.
Okay.
You come back with, well, my Lord said A, B, and C. Now, what she did after that is that's a different story, but
yeah. And when she brought the fruit, I don't know if he knew what the fruit was. You know what I'm saying? But then again, I'm not talking about a real fruit, by the way, you all. I'm not gonna go into that. I want to say this. I want to make that be known. But when I'm listening to this, the first thing that popped in my mind is Geberet Kathy and her Ish. And this paints a picture. The beautiful thing about today, I was talking to Chief, and I'm about to pass the mic. And I was talking to you about this, or maybe you was talking to me about it. And the beautiful thing about our literature is we're able to see the mistakes that was made, and we're able to notice when these similar scenarios come and happen to us. And the reason I brought up Gebeta Kathy right now and her Ish is because, from what I could tell, that foundation is good. That they're building off one another. She's learning from her Ish. She's new up in it. But remember the story she brought out last week? Was it last week or the week before? She brought out the story about the Jewish people.
Yeah.
Okay. She brought up the story about the Jewish people. And now remember, keep in mind what I'm trying to compare it to. You got the Adam, you have Hawa or Eve, and you have the quote unquote serpent that came and capitalized on her quote unquote lack of knowledge, or I should say knew the knowledge but didn't deliver it right. The difference with Gebeta Kathy is she has said, you know what, I know what I said. Remember last show or 2 shows ago, she said, I know what it says. I know what I went through and the building I have on my Ish. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I ain't gonna speak on it. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna go back, talk to him, boom. She didn't do what Hoa did. And I'm using this as a sidebar right now. The scriptures is amazing, you all. Those that's in this truth and this walk in this way, learn. Don't just read the stories. Learn from it, because if you're put in that situation, because in my opinion, Gebeta Kathy was put in that situation at her job at that point. But she operated from wisdom, came back building with her Ish. They dialogued on the situation. She continued to go. Hawa didn't do that, but I love what you brought out, because it seemed like she was sincere, but she got duped at the end of the day. She got duped, and all of them there, both of them there. And I want to put something on Adam too, like for the men out there, you have to stand your ground. And you don't have to do it in a harsh way, you know what I'm saying? But stand your ground as to what you know should happen. Even if something is brought to you, challenge was brought to you in a loving way. But challenge was brought. Well, you know, we got, let's build off this. Let's see what you bringing to me right now. I don't know. You know, so don't just take it because you got a beautiful wife. So I think this is a beautiful story when you actually unpack it. And I love the fact that you brought that out, because I never looked at it like that. Hallelujah.
And consider the issue with the, you know, as far as, you know, with the man, you know, was he there or was he not there? Think about this. Let's say he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because when he received the commandment from the Most High, he would have been shown the tree and the fruit on it.
Facts.
The Most High didn't just give him this. The Most High wouldn't have just gave him some random command and say, "Yeah, the tree. Okay, you don't know what the tree is, but I'm just telling you, just don't go." He has no reference point. The man would have seen the tree. He would have seen the fruit. He probably would have looked at it and says, "Oh, okay, let me stay away from that, and let me go over here and fill my belly. Let me stay away from that one." So even if he wasn't there, that's like put it in contemporary terms. If we were given the commandment, "Thou shalt not partaketh of tacos," right? And I know what a taco looks like. I'm like, okay, clearly, all right, I gotta stay away from that. It doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter if I'm not at home. If my wife is stuffing her face full of tacos and comes home and I come home and she says, "Hey, you want some?" I'm not gonna be like, "Oh yeah, why not?" I'm like, "No, woman, that is a taco. What the hell are you doing?" So it wouldn't matter if I was there or not while she was, started eating it. I know what I'm not supposed to be doing, and he should have smacked the fruit out of her hand.
Okay.
Just going by the story, like, woman, what the hell? Whatever, like that. And whoever the Nakash was or the servant was should have got jacked up on spot. I
want to say, when I brought that up, I was only commenting on Crystal's question, but that's why I was saying, like, you know what I'm saying, he should have stood his ground, knowing what, like you had said, he knew what it was. That taco was a good analogy. He knew what a taco looked like. Look, we need to. So, I Coach Sharon, what you got? Did you already speak, or was it Gilbert or Kathy? One of y'all. Anyone?
Kane, I had spoke already. Yeah, very interesting. The route that Chief had took with that scripture.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. He got me over here thinking like I'm about to open up Genesis now.
Right. Yeah.
And mind you, this doesn't take any. It doesn't take any accountability away from any one of the parties.
Okay.
But again, if we're looking, and of course, this always sounds strange when it's coming from a man. If we look at the situation with Eve, just as it is, and just, just as it is, we got to remember that everything that is occurring in the garden at this point, everything is, it's the first of its kind. Adam and Eve are like Cool Herc and Grandmaster Flowers of Brook. They're the first ones to do hip. There is nothing prior to it, so there's nothing to judge anything. But see, like, we have the benefit of being able to go back to the book and go into these stories, and then go into Proverbs and Psalms and all of these different things and say, yeah, see, that's wisdom. They are the first of their kind, so to speak. So everything is trial and error at this point. And I think this is the reason why, although, it would be easy to just say, yeah, Adam, oh yeah, he was, because I've heard people say, yo, Adam was evil as hell, whatever the case, he listened to his woman, that's evil. And it's like, well, no, listening to your wife is not evil. Listening to an unlearned woman is evil, but listening to your wife should be a blessing under the right circumstances. So that's not evil. So he's not evil, she's not evil, but they made a decision that did not go well with them. And I'm gonna try to keep this point as short as I can.
Lies.
I know, right? I know that.
I had to say it, Chief. You said we're Hebrews, so
there's no such thing as short conversation.
That's 2 hours,
Right. But consider this. The whole scenario that happens in the garden, all of this is for the purpose of exercising free will. Because you got to ask yourself, the Most High creates everything here. Earth is created. He creates Eden, and then he plants a garden eastward in Eden. So Eden is the larger landmass, and the garden is just a small portion of that larger landmass, because it says he planted a garden eastward in Eden. So this is happening in the garden. So he creates this scenario. He clearly gives man free will, because he says, listen, you can eat whatever you want in this garden, just not that tree right there. The first thing we got to start asking ourselves is, well, wait a minute. Well, why did the Most High plant that tree there then? Wouldn't it have just been easier to just not plant the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then all would be well with man?
Okay.
But why is the tree there? He plants this tree. He tells his children, or his child, take whatever you want, just not from that tree. We see what the purpose of the tree is. What is man going to do with his free will, with his intelligence? What is he going to do with it? You can't have free will unless there's something to test it. You have to have something to test it. There's no such thing as adultery if there's not a beautiful married woman winking her eye at you. You know what I'm saying? If there's no one there, none of this makes any sense. So what happens?
Wait, Chief. I'm sorry. You just gave them some law. Did y'all catch what he just said? He said, if it's not a beautiful married woman. Go ahead, Chief. I'm just bringing some Torah out. Go ahead.
Okay.
You could have just said beautiful woman. You really could have just said beautiful woman, but it's the reason you said married. But
right. Nothing wrong with a beautiful woman. you can partake, but she's married. No, you flee out of there like Joseph.
Okay.
But so we see that the tree is there. They make a decision with their free will, with the free will that the Most High has, that has imbued them with. giving them this free will, and then gives them instructions so that that free will now be tested to see what you will do with this power that I've given you. If I say I created you in my image, well, here's the test to see what you'll do with that image. Mm. And so the tree is planted. They go and make a decision. But it's not the decision that's the problem. The decision to eat the tree was not the problem. The problem is what happened afterwards. It says that the Most High, the voice of the Most High, walked in the garden in the cool of the day. I love that. Walked in the garden in the cool of the day. And, wow. And anybody who has children understands what's happening here.
Okay.
The parent comes home, notices that the vase is broken. Now he or she only has 2 children. So what does you do? The parent asks a redundant statement. Hey, where y'all at? Clearly they're in the house. Where are you? Adam, where are you? And what Adam says, oh, well, I heard your voice and I was afraid because I was naked.
Right.
What is the question that the Most High asks right after that? Because it's very important. Who told you that? Like King Jaffe in Coming to America. Who told you that?
Right. Right.
And he asked a very simple question. Did you eat of the tree that I forbade you to eat of?
That was the get out of jail free card right there.
And as a parent, and I think all of us have children, I believe. Okay. All of us have children. As a parent, you ask your child, did you break the TV? What are you expecting from them? Yes or no? Mm-hmm. What does the man say?
You gave me he placed the blame, right?
The woman you gave me.
Right.
So not only is the woman the problem.
They can't tell me the literature is not true, Chief, because we see that happening today.
Right. So not only is the woman the problem here to Adam, but the root of his problem is the Most High, because you gave her to me.
Wow.
Really? And so the woman, but and to be fair, at least the woman kept it thorough and said, what? The serpent tricked me and I ate.
Yeah. She admitted that she got tricked.
Right. Because he did slide in there real smooth. So she didn't lie. She just but he asked him point blank, did you eat of the tree? His response should have been what? Abba, yeah, I ate of the tree. I know you told me not to. I was bugging. I ate of it. Forgive me, Salakli. Mm-hmm. I believe had he went that route, we would not have we would not have a Tanakh. The story would have ended right there.
I agree.
Because that's the purpose of the questioning. Because he wants to see, is man going to take responsibility for what he's done? You've already enjoyed the fruit of free will. Now you got to take responsibility for what comes with that free will now. You made an error. What are you going to do about that? And instead of stepping up, he says, well, you and the woman are my problem.
Thanks. Hallelujah. Before I go forward, Gabetta Kathy, did you have anything you wanted to add? Yeah, okay. Well, welcome to Y'all Conscious Radio. For those that's just tuning in now, whether you're looking at the replay or whether you're watching live right now, welcome to Y'all Conscious. Well, if it's not Y'all Conscious, it is not acceptable. Not acceptable. We're going to go to the next song really quick before we go to the last topic of this evening. And the next song is one of my favorite. When I found that there was other R&B singers in this truth, I was like, yes, let's get it. Zamir, what a light at.
Oh, yeah.
Seem to get exposed. That's what they wanna know. 14 lose a V-card. 16 now we smoke. 18 now we bang. Play me in the game. 20 now we go. It's the process, man. 19 now she pregnant with a baby. 2 kids and she walking around as a single lady. Brother, he was born up in the 80s, but he be living life with the mind of a baby. I don't get the process, but yeah, man, it's the process. The things that we see, grown men care more about the streets, more than they care about this on CD. Oh, yeah. Preach the truth unto the liars, cause it's the final hour. Yeah. One day all these wanting, they gon' perish. The word in my heart now is spiritually buried. Woman out here, give a body to a man, and no woman really married. Yeah. Baby girl crying cause she lost her V-card to a man and it's her daddy. Yeah. Grown man spend his last 20 on some weed before he spend it on his family. Yeah. I got the word in my head like a toothpick, so problem looking handy. I'm maxing y'all. I'm maxing y'all. And I know what it is. I gotta ask you. Where's the light? Keep on asking y'all. We need some light. You said I need to wait, cause I'm dwelling in dark. Yeah. But we got the light. And we get it from God. Yeah. Transform, I'm renewed, I'm conformed by the ways of my Father. Yeah. Stuck in your ways like the crab, but no mouse, I got cheese in the head. No living, you gotta go. I speak the truth of seed, so you know what's so. You reap what you sow. The seed up in my heart, so I gotta let it grow. The word up in my heart, I gotta let it show. Yeah. Accept the word into your heart. Yeah. And let your light shine for me.
All right. That was Zamir. Make sure y'all look him up on YouTube. I think it's Zamir. Where the light at? And if you get a hold of him, tell him to hit up Shema, tell him Yahoo. More Shema, tell him Yahoo. And we need to do a collab. All right. Let's go to the last topic of this evening. And this is a touchy one, man. I mean, they all were, but this a touchy one. So, respect of persons. How damaging can this mentality, how damaging can this mentality be to our community? Respect of persons. How damaging can this mentality be to our communities? Let's go ahead and pass the mic. Akho Sharon, what you got? What you got for us?
First I want to ask you all, do you all agree that you experience respect of persons in our community?
I experienced it my whole life. Outside the truth and inside the truth, I would say too, you know.
Have you been a person who's been respected? Like, have you been in the opposite position?
Yeah.
I am just now starting to be respected within the last 2 years.
but you know, respect of persons. As far as this topic goes, in this context, it's respecting a person even in their unrighteousness.
Okay.
Now you got two types of respect of persons. You have one who's just popular, don't know a lick of nothing, just popular, and then you have one, hear me out on this, You have one who is an imperfect servant of the Most High. And I say that because I've witnessed a lot of people show respect to a person who have a duration of consistent righteous moments, but they may occasionally mess up or sin. But that accountability and that rebuke will be different because the sinning or the unrighteous acts are not consistent.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Cool. I like it. That last part, what you said, real quick, so we could get clarity. And they probably got it. I just want to, for those that's listening. So basically, when you said the duration, so basically you're saying they don't do it often. They don't.
King.
Okay, cool.
So King. So it's like you have a person who has a track record of doing things right or trying to be righteous, but occasionally they may fall in the cracks of sinning or fall in the cracks of transgressing law. However, people will not hold that person accountable because they do not transgress on a consistent basis.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, accountability needs to be still implemented. It still needs to be acted upon or brought to the forefront towards certain individuals. So that's what I meant by the topic of respect of persons and how damaging it can be to the community.
Hallelujah. I want to come in. I normally don't go first or second, but I'm gonna go first this time if it's okay with you all, because and hopefully I don't take away from you all. If you need to remember what you was going to say, I just want to get this out because that was an excellent question. Also, it was an excellent expounding upon that question. Whew, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because it's really about picking it. Like Israel, we have a habit of picking and choosing what we want to be in the uproar about. And that goes the same things goes for people in certain positions in our community.
I'm not gonna push back because you have an excellent point. I don't think there's anything wrong with your point. I want to,
but I don't mind a little pushback more.
Oh, I'm because I want to bring out some I won't say some reality because it's not to say what you're saying isn't, because it is, but the fact of the matter, I was talking to somebody and he said, dude, we was talking about the whole thing with Dawid, or some people say Dawid. They was like, any other person would have got put to death for what Dawid did easily. But the thing is, and I'm not taking credit for this thought process that was brought forth. Again, I said this was a conversation I was having, and this individual was bringing this out. But I might tell you what I said though, and I agree with his statement. He was like, "But see, he's the king, so it's a little different." I said, "Well, I know. Well, the prophet was telling me he was going to do this, but it was another element to that, the repentance, and then he was like, well." Even in our community, it don't matter. Like he was like, back in that day, they still would have killed him. I said, but is that what the Most High would have wanted? Because it talks about you all being stiff necked and to circumcise your heart or your mind, right? Why was that being said? It's so many different layers or onions that could be peeled back from that. Yes, the people would have condemned and killed him based off of just what they saw within the Torah, which goes back full circle to what Chief was saying when he was saying having those judges that could sit up here and look at the laws and put a certain type of have us bring forth an action with that law that we're seeing, because every law is not black and white, even though we believe it is. So going back to your point, the respect of persons, I think that's just a universal thing. Now, I think it's a certain level to it though, because the example that you brought out, a person that their path is very narrow. You know, they operate within the law on a consistent basis, but then they might mess up. Like, say if it's a 5-year span. Let's say if it's a 5-year span, and you have an individual that has been across the board on point and messed up twice or 3 times. And you know that this person is super sincere across the board, and it was just something that the person, man or woman, messed up on. In comparison to someone who's willingly doing it, it might be a little bit of leniency. Not saying that's right or wrong, but it might be due to just how the I don't know, just how the world is, considering how we're not in the same state across the board, because it is communities out there that have men, women, and children that's following this the way that we should, and they're holding accountability in place for all of them and things of that nature. But, or watch this, think about your job. You might have somebody that might be doing their job and just, you know, just getting by, but you might have somebody that's going in and always supplying, always bringing to making the company great and this and that like that. They're getting rewarded for what they're doing. And then you might have both of them might do the same thing, but they might show more leniency to this person that has been consistent for 7 years versus this person that has not been consistent due to what that person is providing for the community as a whole or the business as a whole, and understanding that we're not perfect from a standpoint of what society called perfect. I just put a post up about this today. I don't know if you all saw it. The word tamim in regards to perfect versus how we look at perfect. Perfect doesn't mean in our culture, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, Akhot Sharon and Chief Prince Ebulan, y'all been in it longer than me. From my understanding, though, from my studies, perfect does not mean I'm shooting 100 shots and I'm going to hit all 100. That tamim talks about something dealing with complete maturity, integrity. It talks about I put a whole post on it, man. Y'all can check it out on Facebook. But I said all that, and hopefully I'm not rambling, but I'm saying all that to say it's inevitable for a certain level of respect to persons. I think the respect to persons is more so speaking of allowing a man of some type of position or power and or a woman to just get by due to their position. I don't know if I'm if it's dealing with, you know, a man and or a woman that might have been consistent and then they fail and they're being looked at a certain type of one. Because if that's the case, then we have to look at what book is that? It's not Ecclesiastics. When the Most High says, I know you all gonna jump in when I ask this question, when he talk about all your sins can be removed if you
if you continue righteousness, but the moment you go to wickedness, he's going to forget about all your righteousness, and you got to start back from square one.
Okay, so I'm using an example. I'm using that specific example because it can be looked at as, okay, it favors what you're saying, but then it also could be looked at as to where it favors what I'm saying. When we're both right, because I think that, in my opinion, we're both right because I think that there is a level of respect to persons in that regard, in those type of instances, in that sin situation. But I think respect to persons in regards to our culture and our literature is dealing with the level, the hierarchy standpoint, poor versus rich, king versus servant, that type of stuff. And for that, I yield. I want to pass it to whoever want to go because this is the last one, so we all could just, you know, jump in if you want to speak.
Guevara, Kathy, you want to bring something out?
Kane. I'm also looking at it from 2 different perspectives. In regards to respect, I think respect is something that is gained as you learn an individual, and also through acts that he or she may do. If an individual falls short, if they sin, I don't think that should take away from depending on the level of sin, depending on the level of fault. Let me clarify that the level of respect that person, that hopefully that it took some time for that person to gain of you, is not totally diminished. We got back again to dealing with he or she shortcomings. And again, where's the community? Where's the judges? Because that's what I feel like they need to come in on that aspect. I don't think that that's necessarily losing the respect for that individual, but yes, that individual needs to be dealt with those shortcomings. It should not be swept under the rug, to the degree like nothing is happening. I think that's where my sister is coming from. Like we continue to look at, even within our own communities, some of our elders, our congregation, you've done this, you shouldn't have done it, but it wasn't dealt with.
Facts.
And people, their shortcomings are not being dealt with, and that's wrong as a community and as a congregation, because we're not learning from each other. It's not necessarily to be brought out to criticize, to make somebody shameful, but we have to learn from it. But on the other hand, we have statute laws and commandments for everything.
A lot, yeah.
There isn't anything in question about how you should be dealt with, regardless of what level of sin or shortcomings. So I think you can still have a certain level of respect in a person, again, depending on the level of sin, in regards to the issues that they may continue to have every now and then. I think that's where our community, our judges, our elders, even our communities, we need to come together and we need to hold he or she accountable for that.
And Chief, I know you coming in. I just want to say, like, again, I agree with Coach Sharon. I agree with what Gabetta Kathy is saying. I love the fact of what you brought out, Gabetta, when you was talking about the accountability. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs to be dealt with. Like I was saying with the gentleman I was talking to. We do know the story of Dawid, right? Dawid. He got dealt with for years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking about 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
He got grown children.
Yeah.
That did so.
The swore to not depart from his household. And
come on now, sis. So what I was trying to point out to him was like he when he found out what, oh, you're talking about me. Man, we got he wrote so much due to what he did. He was a true servant according to what I can see of the Most High. Outside of that one thing, it said that Dawid did he did everything right in the sight of the Most High eyes, outside of the situation with Uriah. I had a conversation with somebody. They was like, man, Dawid was just wicked. He was. I said, y'all, no. Well, he did it. I said, Ak and Geberet and Adon. The Most High lumped all of that in one, because guess what? All of that was concerning one act. Everything y'all speaking of was concerning about Uriah. Show me something outside of Uriah. Not saying he was right, but show me according to our scripture. Yes, people are not going to like what you do. It says that the Most High. It says that throughout the literature, you're going to see it says that this person was right in the sights of the Most High. This person was wrong in the sights of the Most High. What does that mean? If this person was wrong in the sight of the Most High, if you look at the history, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, or Akon Sharon, or Gabetta Kathy, if he's wrong in the sight of the Most High, that means a lot of times he's right in the eyes of the people. But then if he's right in the eyes of the Most High, he's a lot of times they're complaining about him, the people.
Okay.
So I just said that. I just wanted to add that and say, powerful what you brought out. I quote powerful, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It is a respect. I think that them titles is a lot to do with it, and it goes into what Gabetta Kathy was talking about with the accountability. Those accountabilities be removed due to their titles and their position. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay.
Yeah, It's a tricky one because I think everybody pretty much covered how it's tricky, because on one hand we know the text says what it says. Matter of fact, we're actually in that same book, Devarim 16. The very next verse after what we talked about with the establishing of judges, it says, "You shall not wrest judgment. You shall not respect persons." But what's interesting about the text is that the Hebrew says "lo takia panim," and that literally it means it literally means do not respect faces.
Yes. Come on, man, bring the Hebrew out.
Now, why is that important? Because when we say you shall not respect persons, see, that can kind of, people can kind of slip and slide with that one. And we've seen it. Gevera Sharon, she knows that people, they get to slipping and sliding, with certain terms. But when you say you shall not regard or observe faces, that's what the text literally says.
Okay.
That means that when you're dealing with people, literally face, on face value, meaning that you shall not make a judgment on something simply by what is at face value. So a person may say, well, this person over here, he violated this woman, or he did whatever the case. Yeah, man, that's why. Yeah, who was that brother who did that? Oh, that was Chief Zebulon. Chief did that? And now they start trying to find wiggle room.
And bring it out.
They're trying to find wiggle room. But see, this is why I say it's very touchy, because why are they trying to find wiggle room? Because think about it, they were ready to to give this dude, give this person, whatever, send his soul to the Creator just now. Like, oh, this dude is a wicked bastard. Let's get this brother, whatever, like that. Who is he? Oh, Chief said, oh.
Yeah, I know where he's going with
now. There's a difference, and why are they doing that? Because it's an illustration of the other version of respect of persons, where you literally respect the person.
Mm-hmm.
And because you have a respect for this person, it might be a long-lasting respect. You might have known this person for years and years and years. And they might, like Sharon's Sister Sharon said, I think Sister Gevera Kathy brought it out as well, that they might be doing a whole bunch of really good things and whatever. I think you brought it out, Maurice Shema, but all these years they're doing good stuff, and then they have this one hiccup, and they're like, well, and that's where the judgment has to really zoom in on Torah.
Okay, hallelujah.
Because on one hand, yes, we have to consider who the individual is. So for instance, I give you a prime example. Torah tells us, and when I say Torah, I'm talking about the law, because all law is Torah, but not all Torah is law.
Come on now.
But in the law, how are we supposed to deal with thieves? What does the Torah tell us how to deal with thieves? Especially if you're stealing cattle or whatever like that. It says that person should be put to death. That's what is that? I think Deuteronomy 24.
Mm-hmm.
Thievery is just not accepted. You don't do that. And there's penalties for thievery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, what do we make of Proverbs 6:30? Did anybody bring up Proverbs 6:30?
I'll bring it up, but I know where you went to. Let me bring it up for the people.
As ISUPK would say, get the book.
Get the book. Miss Lay. Proverbs
6:30.
6:30. All right, here we go. I hope y'all ready for this, those that's listening that might not know this, but if you do, cool. It says, men, do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry.
Now we have a peculiar situation now.
Outside the Torah law. Contradiction
Because,
almost.
right, because now this man is clearly a thief. But the key is what? Do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul. What does that even mean? That means that you're dealing with somebody who is poor. And they're not stealing out of greed. They're not going and robbing, whatever. They're saying this to satisfy their soul. So the question then becomes is, if a person, let's say it's a mother who, I don't know, and I'm speaking from, how I was raised, but my mother was, got evicted and from her apartment when we were children, and she's 23 with 5 children, and you got to survive. Now, if she goes into a supermarket and steals a loaf of bread, steals some Similac and all the stuff that back in the days, whatever, for children, whatever, if she went in there and stole, would we view her the same way as somebody who rolls up on somebody on the street, snatches their chain off their neck and be like, give me that?
I love
at gunpoint.
I love the analogy. Yes. No, we
You'd
won't.
be like, no, because that dude is a damn devil stealing whatever. You're gonna look at the mother and say, well, look at her situation.
Yeah.
And I've never met anybody who would say, nah, lock that broad up. No, because we understand that the law says what it says, but this is why judges are placed there to look at circumstances and say, well, okay, yes, she stole, but why did she steal?
Chief, do me a favor. I want to read the next verse, but while I'm doing this, can you do me a favor? Because you just brought something out. You brought something out. If you can, Chief Prince Ebulan, can you find this for me? And I know you know the scripts about the cutting the baby in half, but I want to read this. I want to read the 31st, the 30.
Yeah.
Wait. What is it? Oh yeah, I want to read the 30. I want to read the 30th and the 31st verse together. But while I'm doing that, can you please find that script for me? And I want to read that because it's important. Because if I'm not mistaken, I know that's not in the law, but that Devarim 16 and 18 makes a point. This is why I love the fact that we all individually each week come up with our topics. You know what I'm saying? I hope Jerome brought up amazing topics this week. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, she did.
Come on, man. I'm looking forward to I think the Bear Catholics next week. You know what I'm saying? Like, we bring in different. This is why, you know what? I'm gonna say this. Each one of us could have individually made a platform, but it's a reason why the Most High wants us to operate as a collective. You know what I'm saying? Our minds are amazing collectively together. You know what I'm saying? And each one of us are bringing forth topics that is going across the board with not only Israel, but going across the board for so-called black people in the whole. But I'm about to read 30 and 31, and then I want you to bring it out if you can, Chief, because it's important that you bring it out. Verse 30, men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. I love the fact that Chief brought that out, saying if we saw a regular dude just trying to steal some jewelry, we're going to be like, man. But if we saw a woman or a man that had their children and was struggling and needed some 5 diapers and stole diapers, it'll be different. It just might. Is that respect the persons? That's why I say respect the persons to me is more so dealing with hierarchy, but that's just me. Verse 31, but if he be found, he shall restore 7-fold. He shall give all the substance of his house. Now, the lovely thing I love about the Tanakh in general, Torah law, because like you said, Chief, all law is Torah, but not all Torah is law. That is powerful, because guess what? Proverbs is law. It's a form of law. It's instructions. It might not be Torah law, but it's instructions. Why? Check out what he just said on 31. But if he be found, he shall restore 7-fold. He shall give all the substance of his house. Why is it saying that? If a man or woman is struggling and want to get diapers, for their children, for their family. A good man or woman that's in that predicament that might be blessed to have the money back to return it is going to do it because it's not in them to just steal from you. It's not in them to just steal from you. They're stealing from you out of necessity, out of need. I just put a post up about this yesterday. Need, necessity, food, shelter, food, shelter, and what's the third one? Food, shelter, and
Clothing.
And what? Clothing. There you go. So that's necessity. Hallelujah. That's necessity. So if they're doing that, they don't want to necessarily do it. But if they're able to give back, guess what? They're going to do it. That's why I love verse 30, 31. Chief, do me a favor. Can you bring out that scripture? And it's a reason I want to bring that out. And then I could Sharon or you, Chief, to correct me if I'm wrong with what I'm going to say to that. And Gabetta, Kathy, me and you knew in this. I'm 10 years in it. You know, I don't know how long you've been in it, but we knew they're a minute in this. Go ahead, Chief.
Well, I think you're talking about 1 Kings chapter 3.
Hallelujah.
Okay, but just to finish the point, so in situations, that when we're dealing with in the community, because I didn't want to just leave it off like, hey, very often when we're looking at situations have to be analyzed, all of the details, who the person is, because who the person is, even though we may not want to say it does, but it really does matter. For instance, should an Israelite who's been in the walk 40 years be judged by the same standards as someone who's been in the walk 2 years?
I don't believe so. I'm sorry.
But wait, but isn't that respecting? And of course, we know that. Well, no, it's not respecting persons because this person's only been. And that's what I'm saying is that all these things have to be looked at and said, okay, what are the circumstances of this individual? What are the circumstances of why they did this? Whatever. All of these things have to be analyzed. This is what judges are supposed to do. It says to do diligent search into a matter.
Okay.
And so when we do diligent search, yes, we may find that, okay, yeah, this elder is wicked as hell. He needs to be addressed immediately. Brothers, lay hands on him and bring him before the elders, whatever.
Get him on pause.
Right. Or get the house of Deborah, get them sisters to go snatch up this Aaron's sister and give her the business or whatever. But the point is that when we're dealing with respecter of persons, yes, yes, on one hand, yes, we should not deal with respect of persons in that respect, but we have to still be circumspect in anything that we do. The Most High instructs us, what is that in was that Leviticus 4, I believe, where he said to do it like diligently. I believe it's Leviticus 4. Don't quote me on that, but to be diligent in our research of anything. And that includes even things that our elders might tell us, or somebody of renown in the community. They might say X, Y, Z, and we might be prone to be like, oh, well, Chief so-and-so said, so therefore it must. No, you can respectfully say, I'm going to go research that first. And it's no disrespect to that elder. It's just saying that, yes, I respect you as an elder, but I respect the Torah more so.
And I want to say this. It goes back into my post. Those that's not my friends, find me on Facebook, Moreh, Moreh, Shema, Shama. When it says a false balance, is an abomination. One of the last posts I put up was the word for tamim, and one of the words within tamim is balance. And balance doesn't mean that you're just, on an even playing field on every subject. But for the most part, you are a balanced individual. You operate even with a lot of things dealing with Proverbs, even one of the things I know in the scripture, it talks about, you know, a fool answereth the matter without a fool answereth the matter without questioning, basically. You know what I'm saying? So that's a form of imbalance, you know. So going back to what you were saying, Chief, and to bring home with this topic is respect of a person's is, in my opinion, subjective. It's it's objective too, depending on how we want to go with it, but it's subjective in the sense to where some people can feel that it is a respect of persons due to an anecdotal, which is a popular term now being used. Which,
right.
a lot of people that you didn't used to say anecdotal. I know I didn't until I had to. When people started saying it so much, I'm like, let me look that word up. I don't even know what anecdotal is. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, cool. So it's anecdotal because it's things like going back to someone that been in it for 20 years, 30 years. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. And maybe I'm putting myself out there when I say this. This is not to say that I'm perfect from a standpoint of how society view the word perfect, because I don't look at perfect the same way that you all do. That's watching. Definitely don't. I look at it from a cultural standpoint, from the word Tamim. But character is very important. And if somebody knows you and know how you have been doing for 10 years straight, 5 years, 6, 7 years straight, and you've been consistent, sometimes people look at that like, okay, we need to really find out the facts. Well, no, he did it. No, she did it. No, we got to find out the facts, because we knew for 3, 5, 6, 7 years, this person has been extremely consistent. It doesn't mean they didn't do it.
Right.
But we can't negate the fact that he's been or she has been consistent for years. That has to be looked at. So that's why Devarim 16 and 18, yes, I remember it, is very important. We do need to put in place righteous judges, women, men alike. Beit Din, shameless plug.
And with that said, to Gavera Sharon's point, with that understood, there are individuals who do see the gray area,
okay,
and deliberately slide up in there, and will do things that are unbecoming of a Hebrew man or of a Hebrew woman, because they know that there's that, not only the gray area, but because there is a lack of a universal court, of a Beit Din, a house of judgment, where no matter what camp you're a part of, no matter what congregation you're a part of, if you are operating outside of Torah, you don't have to worry about anybody in the congregation coming to get you. We're coming to get you.
Yeah, we need that.
And it will be regardless of your position. You will be taken into custody, and the situation will be investigated. There will be an investigation on you, the person that is accusing you. Everyone's being investigated, because we're going to get to the bottom of what the issue is. Like when there's situations that there might be sexual abuse in the community, or accusations of sexual abuse in the community. Nobody should be running around on Facebook talking about, yeah, he did it. No, how could you say that? The judges have not investigated. You are doing what? Falsehood. False witness. How can you weren't even there, so you're not a witness at all.
We ain't keeping the law like we think we are, by the way. Go ahead. We're not.
So even speaking on it before judges have been able to come in and investigate the matter, even speaking on it, you are now out of the pocket of Torah. You're out of pocket.
Come on.
Right. So we understand that there is a process that has to be adhered to. Judges, this is one of the reasons why, when they say witnesses, witness tampering, that you're not supposed to even speak on a matter outside of the witness pool, like in actual secular court. You know what I'm saying? The jury is told not to speak of this case to anybody.
Facts.
Why? Because if somebody else hears it, they can soil the actual pool, and now everybody has an opinion before a judgment can be rendered. So the whole case has been corrupted. Torah does not allow for those type of things to happen. So people, if you have an issue, if you want to bring up charges on this person or that person, it says you bring it to the judges, not to the community. You bring it to the judges, and let the judges diligently inquire, investigate the situation, and then they make a ruling.
Okay.
But these are the things that some people in the community, they know that these things are not in existence at this point. Right. And so evil men and evil women have been able to slide by with all manner of wickedness without any type of accountability, because who's going to do what?
Yep.
So Guevara Sharon, I'm in complete agreement with that, because I've seen both sides of it. I've seen individuals who have, individuals who are guilty of sin and have escaped judgment. And then I've seen people who were innocent and who are currently being punished in the community, all because of respecter of persons.
Okay.
So I agree.
Do me a favor, Chief. If you can you read that? And I want to bring that out because it's bringing him back full circle to the very first question, if I'm not mistaken, she brought out. And then what I want to do after that is I want to allow any one of you to add, to say anything that you might want to say in regards to any of the topics or this last topic. And then, we all close out and bring the last song in, and make sure you all subscribe if you haven't, because I see we've been stuck at a certain place. So I need those that's tuning in or watching back. Please subscribe. All right, Chief, go ahead.
What you need me? What you said you needed me to read something?
The scripture pertaining to. Well, you know what? You don't have to read it. I'm just gonna tell the story.
Right.
So, this scripture was pertaining to Solomon, if I'm not mistaken, Shlomo, right? When he was two women came, and one woman was saying that this child was hers, and then the other woman, they both were saying the child was hers. But what took place is he said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut the child in half. We're gonna cut the child in half. Now, they didn't know why he said that, but he was like, okay, the real mother is not going to want to cut the child in half. And of course, what he knew what would happen happened. The woman that wasn't the mother was like, yeah, let's do it. And the mother that was the woman was like, no, give the child to her. And he said, you know what? You have to be the mother, because the mother would have done that. My point in bringing that out is, where is that in Torah law? It's not in Torah law. But the beautiful thing about Devarim 16 and 18, what Chief Zebulon brought out, was the fact that he was judging it righteously. He had to look at the matter. He didn't. I don't even believe he went in Torah to find that answer. It was literally just the wisdom that was probably through Torah and through his culture that allowed him to come up with that quick decision. Probably learning from his Abba, his father, but it allowed him to do that. So yes, Torah was present, but that's what he was a judge. He was a king, Melech in Israel. So he still was a judge technically. And that was out of Torah. I just wanted to bring that out. What's you all's thoughts on that? And after you all giving your thoughts, any closing words, go ahead. And then we're going to play the last song to close out tonight. Anyone who wants to come in. You all good? Everybody good? No comment to what I said? Dang. I feel good. No, I'm playing. All right, well, those that's tuning in, hallelujah, all praise to the Most High. Give honor and praise to him. This is Yah Conscience Radio. Well, if it's not Yah Conscience, it is unacceptable. So we're going to... Somebody was going to say something?
Mistake. Sorry.
All right. Okay, we're going to close out there, and I'm going to play none other than Ben Blackwell out of Damona, Israel. Song is in Hebrew. And you all make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you like, and share to your family, your friends, those that might not be your family or friends. Share to your enemies. Let them check out Yah Conscious Radio. Aliyah. Shalom, shalom. Lila Tob.
Lila Tob.
אם לא נילחם ביחד, אני אשאר כלואים בתוך בועה שמלאה בפחד שאנחנו כבר לא נשמים. אני לא מתכוון למות, אני לא בן אדם פשוט, אל תיתן לבן אדם אחר לקרוא לך את הייבוא. אהבה מתה מזמן, נשאר פה רק שנאה, נוכל להיות כאן עם זה, כל אחד נדחם לבד.
הלכנו לאיבוד, כל כך הרבה ידע נאבד במסע של התקדמות אחורית, טכנולוגיה, נשק להשמדה המונית, גלובליזציה לא מרים בתחזית, חונכתי לחיות לפי הבראשית, נפלתי מההר המערבי, זה הטעות שתיקן אותי וכיוון אותי, זה המערכת שלא אנושי, רעב זורם לנו בווידי מיוצר ברשות 1% מתוך 100%. החלומות שלך לא שלך, כי אין לך זכויות יוצרים, לימדו אותנו מה לרצות, לכן אני יודע מה הם רוצים, זיזלו בשאיפות שלי, עדיין הגעתי עד לכאן, נחסה לי נימוסים, אז תסלח לי, אדוני, כרגע אני צריך אותך בחיי, מקווה שקיבלת את תפילותיי, העולם לא נראה טוב בעיניי, 12 שנות לימוד, עשה 30 יחידות, זה עדיין בזבוז, הכל מושחת, מערכת החינוך, עושה דהומוניזציה לאנושות, and that's real.
מה כבר ביקשתי? לחיות ולשרוד, למרות שהחיים הם קשים, ילד הרים את הראש, את העתיד לא יודעים, והאהבה כבר רחוק, כל רגע אני איתה מסביר את הכל, ישראל יקרה שלי, אתה אפריקה שלי, שלנו צפון מזרח, ירושה של כל עברי, אתה אפריקה שלי, שלנו צפון מזרח, ירושה של כל עברי.
ילד נבון עם חלום והרצון לשנות את סביבתו למקום שלא כל יום קורה אסון, שלא כל יום חסר המון, גבר שברח לא חסר לאימהות, כמה כבר מתו בשביל הממשלות, המצב על הפרצוף שלה שומר מצוות, ומה אני אמור לעשות? לשבת ולשתוק? לחיות עם עיניים עצומות? איך את עצמי אני לא אשפוט? רודף אחרי המושלמות משאיר לכם עקבות, ושעמם מי שלא שונה, כנראה להיות עצמי מאוד שווה, שאני רוצה לדעת השורשי את התנ"ך אני קורא, ואז מבין את ההווה. בבית ספר לא לימדו אותי על ההיסטוריה שלי, סיפרו לי משהו על בן אדם גרמני, מה עם הרקע של עברי, מה שהכי מציק, לך תשאל ישראלי, אחי, האם ידוע לך, היכן אתה נמצא? צפון מזרח של אמא אפריקה, אם ידעת או לא, חכם הבן אדם שמחנך את עצמו.
מה כבר ביקשתי? לחיות ולשרוד, למרות שהחיים הם קשים, ילד הרים את הראש, את העתיד לא יודעים, והאהבה כבר רחוק, כל רגע אני איתה מסביר את הכל, ישראל היקרה שלי, אתה אפריקה שלי, שלנו צפון מזרח, ירושה של כל עברי, אתה אפריקה שלי, שלנו צפון מזרח, ירושה של כל עברי. Fue de un sol,
זה מה שעושים לנו, אתם לא רואים שפוגעים בנו. הפרד ומשול, את העצמאות הם נותנים לנו, בתמורת האחווה הם גונבים לנו. נו, 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 לה, נו, 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 לה, נו, 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 לה, נו, 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 yeah.
Do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your.
All right. Shalom, shalom, everybody. You all have a wonderful night. All praise to the Most High, and we will see you all soon in a week from now. Shalom, shalom.